Well, this is John Farnam. He is the man who changed my life in a positive way many years ago. And I just want to encourage people, I want to talk to him a little bit to try and encourage people to take his courses because it is a life-changing experience in a positive manner for you. I think it would be for you as well. And I'm just going to let John talk a little bit about himself and the way he works. And
Well, I've been doing this for a number of years. My friends who know me well know I never had an original idea in my life, nor am I likely to. But I've spent most of my adult life learning and stealing all the good ideas from my esteemed colleagues. And I try to roll this into a package of information and that we can share with our students. It is a repertoire of psychomotor skills, of course, associated with operating a machine, but it's also a philosophical overlay through which all these skills start to make sense. And so there's a lot of things we need to communicate to our students to prepare them for their life as an operator and their life as someone who has guns in their life and guns that we use for serious purposes. In many cases, carrying guns for serious purposes. It requires that we know how to do this correctly so we don't have accidents, so we don't use guns or produce guns under foolish circumstances. We understand how to correctly and productively interact with the criminal justice system, and in general how to look after our own best interest productively. And actually that's the best way to phrase it.
very good. And in line with my website, I emphasize I like people to get a good instruction from somebody like yourself, and I like them to go out and actual live fire at a range,
Yeah.
but I also like them to practice at home with blue guns and different things of that nature. How do you feel about that sort of practice?
Well, you can get a lot of productive practice in, as you say, without firing a shot. We have some very eligible props now. We use these blue guns, which are just a piece of plastic molded into the shape of a gun, that we can use to learn how to hold guns, how to mount guns in a position, how to present guns from a holster. All this can be done in complete safety, as long as functional guns don't get mixed in with prop guns. But the prop guns we use are, as I say, are blue in color, and they're, we don't seem to have much trouble keeping them separate. There are some more sophisticated training, what we call it, apparatuses, that have laser pointers and all that, that help us to understand how to run a trigger. But most anybody can get a blue gun for 30 or 40 bucks and practice their draw. You can't practice your trigger press, but you can practice your presentation, concealed carry, and a lot of things in the comfort of your home, in complete safety, because of course the gun is inert. You could do what we call dry fire also, using a functional firearm that's been unloaded. Just about all currently popular pistols that you might buy are not harmed by dry fire. Dry firearm does not harm them in any way. You can dry fire them all you want. And you can you have to cycle the slide. In the case of an auto-loading pistol, you have to cycle the slide manually to learn how to catch the link and run the trigger, but all that can be done. However, there is some danger because it is a functional firearm, so you have to have a little more elaborate procedure for setting yourself up. You have to make sure you have a good backstop, even though you don't intend to shoot. You have to make sure you're pointing your gun in a relatively safe direction, and you have to be sure that you don't have any ammunition in the room, you're not distracted, and it's certainly within the reach of all of us, but you just have to be careful. But dry fire is such a valuable activity in helping you to understand how to run a trigger. that we endure the dangers thereof, and you be careful, just so we can get in there and practice that way. We can't get out to a range every day, or most of us can't get to a range every day and shoot. But most of us can set aside 5-10 minutes every day to do a dry fire practice session to become familiar with working the gun. And whether using a functional gun for dry fire practice or a blue gun for the rest of the practice, both of these are recommended activities.
Now, you're one of the pioneers of the type of training that you do, where you actually go all over the world.
Yes.
And train people.
Yes.
And you're one of the first people to actually make that be successful at that. And
Well, I'm not sure about the successful part, but when as you know, when I got back from Vietnam years ago, I was upset with the quality of the small arms training that we'd received, and so I became a bit of an evangelist, and I decided I could do a better job, and so I'm more like an itinerant evangelist, I suppose, than I am a itinerant instructor. I think this body of knowledge is important to share among the worthy in this civilization, and we try to share it every chance we get. And I might get paid down there.
Yeah. The other thing I value a lot about you, John, I see that, where you'll go to SHOT Show and you'll look at all the new goodies and the things that are out there, and a lot of it seems to me like there'll be something that I'll look at and say, wow, that looks really cool, and you'll be like, yeah, I've seen that before, and you're like a filter for bad practices and bad equipment.
I hope I can provide a good filtering service. I've lived long enough to see most of this stuff come and go many times before. And you're right, it all looks great in the showroom. In the showroom, it all looks great and shiny and so on and so forth. Get out in the mud and the blood and the beer and actually try to use it, and sometimes it's a good deal less glamorous. There are some things that we see recurring every now and then and being resurrected. And while I try to keep my mind open, because we want to make sure when legitimate new ideas, new equipment comes along, that we embrace them and use them. But on the other hand, it's got to be sorted out from all the silly nonsense that people try to put together in order to sell it. I have no objection with people trying to make a living, keep their family fed and all that. There's no problem with that. But I think we all have to ask ourselves if what we're doing is genuinely advancing the art, or are we just masturbating? And in the latter case, I express my opinion.
Yeah. And I just think that on the other side of the coin, you don't seem to me like the type of, a lot of people I run into in this kind of business, that they just have this opinion that regardless of the facts, they stick to it. Whereas you also, on the other side of that, you seem to be, well, if this is genuinely an advantage, you're willing to look at it.
Well, that's very kind of you. I can assure you I am as bigoted and pig-headed as the worst at times, and fortunately I have some very independent-minded children and grandchildren who point that out to me and keep me on the straight and narrow, not to mention my good friends that sometimes do too. Confirmation bias is always an issue, and a lot of us are sometimes a little bit too proud of our belief systems and think that we understand things at a depth that maybe we don't. And I think a little humility goes a long way, and an ability to repent and admit that you were wrong about something goes a long way. And it's not a sign of weakness. I think it's a sign of maturity when you're able to say to yourself or other people, boy, I was wrong about that, and I regret it, and we're going to do it differently now. Where something new comes along. Well, I really like this old method, and it still works, but here's this new thing we have now that seems to work even better, so we need to embrace it and start working with it.
I see a lot of some friends of mine that they'll spend thousands and thousands of dollars on equipment,
Yes.
and not a dime on training like at the level that you provide.
It's false economy. I tell most of my students, save on the gun and take all the money you save and spend on ammunition. And then take your gun and ammunition to different instructors, not just me. I have many colleagues out there who are certainly as good as I am, and many of them are better, who have a little different view on things. We don't agree on everything, but go out and talk to everybody. All of us are wrong about something, and all of us are right about something. And when you get it from several different angles like that, after a while, you'll form your own opinions, and you'll become almost as opinionated as I am. You know, God forbid.
Well, John, is there anything else you'd like to add, or?
Oh, just that I think this is very important for the worthy in this civilization to learn these skills and to teach these skills to the next generation. The body of knowledge that we teach in this business has been accumulated at great price. And when we don't preserve it and we don't advance it, and we pass on and the knowledge is all lost, then a whole new generation of Americans will have to be born and grow up and die all over again learning what we already know.
Amen.
But fail to pass on. So I don't want, at least on my watch, I don't want to fail on this. I want to pass this on and advance it as long as I can.
Thank you very much, John. God bless you. Godspeed.
Well, thank you. You too, but
Thank you.
I need all the blessings I can handle.